Hello, welcome. This is Lisa Starr with We Work Well. We're going to start our webinar in just a minute, so thank you for joining us and stay tuned. I hope it's a beautiful day wherever you're joining us in the world. I am on the East Coast of the United States where it is cold and crisp today. So while we're joining, I wanted to explain a little bit about what We Work Well is for those of you who may not know. We Work Well is a buyer and supplier connecting platform, and we began in 2018 with live events that were very successful, but obviously in 2020 we were unable to do that. Sorry, our first events were 2019. So in April of 2020, we used our platform to take our program online. We have custom-built software that connects buyers and sellers. And in 2020, we hosted almost 1,000 meetings between specific buyers and sellers who are matched on our platform in a series of 3 events. They were really successful, and we started to get feedback from our customers in the Middle East and Europe that they would like to be involved in something like that as well. And since travel restrictions are probably going to continue for the near term, we decided to broaden our reach. We brought Stephen Pace Bonello from Europe into our family, and he is helping us to grow across EMEA. So we have 3 events scheduled, virtual meeting events for 2021. And the first is February 4th. And please reach out. We'll have info at the end of this, and I'd like you to reach out to Stephen if you'd like to be included. So I'm going to welcome our panelists today. Please turn your cameras on, and I'll introduce everyone. We have Lillian Cheam, who is the Senior Director of Spa and Wellness at Mandarin Oriental Doha. Welcome, Lillian. We have Carolina Moquist, who is the Spa Manager at the Waldorf Astoria, Dubai. Welcome. We have KALIL, who is the Spa Director at the Four Seasons Riyadh. We're so excited to have KSA represented here. And we have Kent Richards, the Corporate Operations Director for Six Senses globally, but has much Middle East experience. So welcome to all the panelists. Now, before we get started, I wanted to just discuss for a moment the size of the Middle Eastern market, which is, we don't have solid numbers. The last data count we have from the Global Wellness Institute was in 2017. And that put the number of spas in Middle East, North Africa at about 6,000 spas doing 2.8 billion in revenue. I'm sure in 3 years it has grown. Of the list of top 20 spa markets globally, the UAE made it onto the list at number 19 with about 900 spas. So that's pretty good. That's quite a few spas concentrated in that small area. But we didn't, for this webinar, want to just look at the UAE. The Middle East is much broader and there's more going on. So that's why we have other perspectives here. The area employs almost 90,000 people, but the projected need by 2022 was put at 110,000. And as spas continue to grow, that will continue to happen. So we're going to go around and have our panelists give a brief introduction of themselves and what's happening in their markets. And we're going to start with you, Lillian.
Good evening or good morning to some of you, depending where you are. So my name is Lillian Cheam. I am the Senior Director of Spa and Wellness for the Mandarin Oriental Doha. Been with the Mandarin Oriental for the past 14 years and has been in Doha for the past 5 years. And I have to say, when we opened the hotel last year, no one expected that we will have to close the hotel again in March this year, but we reopened every facilities again in September this year. So welcome everyone, and we look forward to this session for today.
Thank you, Lillian. Let's go to Carolina.
Good evening or good morning to some of you. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Carolina. I look after the Waldorf Astoria Spa and Wellness on the Palm here in Dubai. It's a 14 treatment room spa located on Palm Jumeirah. We have also, in Dubai, all the spas was actually closed from middle of March. And we actually opened already in July. So we opened early July and we've been open since then. Obviously we opened with some limited facilities, but after then gradually we actually managed to open most of our facilities now. Thank you.
Okay, great. And we'll go to KAMAL in Riyadh.
Assalamu alaikum, wherever you are around the world. I'm KAMAL, Director of Spa and Wellness Center at Four Seasons Riyadh. Recently joined during the pandemic. I came to Riyadh to support other hotels from Intercontinental Hotels. And with the closure and pandemic and things turn differently. So quite interesting journey. And to see the progress of the evaluation of the market, and after opening the hotels, how spas progressively start to open section by sections, where we see that gyms open first, then the second phase treatments, spas, and mainly massages. Some hotels, especially at Four Seasons, facials not allowed at the moment. We see the guests are coming back. Quite interesting market, Saudi Arabia, where you see still spas are male for male, female for female. However, the whole country is completely changing and very diversity at the moment, where a lot of things happening. It is the place that's growing very fast, new rules every single month or two. So we see big changes, and it is really dynamic. Very pleased to be in this city, in this country at the moment. And I'm sure, especially everybody hears about the 2030 vision. So Saudi Arabia will be growing, developing, and it will be a big hub, definitely.
Great, thank you, KAMAL. And Kent, as I said, last but not least, the vast experience. Let's hear your take on it.
Sure. Hello, everyone, and I'm the Corporate Operations Director for Six Senses Spas. We have currently about 34 spas located around the world, almost in every continent. And the part that is really interesting for me is, even here we're looking at the Middle East, and each property we have in each different area of the Middle East is so unique. And I know that this will come up as we talk. If you compare running a spa in Oman to Dubai, I mean, geographically it's right next door, but it feels like two different worlds. And Kuwait or Doha, etc. So, part of the pleasure of working in this kind of industry is that you get to really look at every destination through different eyes. And to avoid ever, just being a cookie cutter and duplicating what you have around the world. Right now, if I look at where we're operating in the Middle East, we're in Oman, we're in Dubai, we have operated spas in Kuwait and Doha as well, and of course in Abu Dhabi. We're very excited at Six Senses. We've already got 7 new projects going into Saudi Arabia within the next 3 years. Our first one will open in an 18-month period. So KAMAL, we can't wait to discover your part of the world as well. And COVID, you just have to live with it. And we've currently got about 2/3 of our locations open. We have our own properties, and then we're in partner hotels as well. So if we don't count the seasonal locations, we've got about 12 out of 18 of our Six Senses properties open. And then in the partner spas, we've got 9 out of 11 open. So gradually they're getting back to normal. But yeah, it's a different world.
Back to the new normal, I guess we should say.
Back to the new normal. Yeah.
We're not sure what business will look like going forward. Well, I'm going to jump back to Carolina and Lillian in their areas respectively. Carolina, Dubai is probably the center of, has the most spas per square foot of any of the areas we're in. Are all spas up and running? Is business sort of close to what you're used to?
Yes, I think most spas are up running now. I think most spas has gradually introduced most of the services on the menus. spa facilities. That was, as I think KAMAL mentioned, that it actually opened last of everything. So we could open fitness first, the gyms, we opened the treatments, we opened then, we could open facilities, and also now we can open hammam treatments and basically everything on the menu. So now we can run our spas as normal. So I think spas still gradually open up areas and slowly but surely starting to run the operation as normal.
You're able to use your steam and sauna at this point as well?
Yes, at the moment in our spa, we operate only the private steam room and sauna because there is a lot of sanitation restrictions that has come with this situation. However, we are planning to open our common facilities within shortly as well.
Let me just say, for those of you listening who are not familiar with the Middle Eastern market, there are, like with any region, there are wrinkles, but in the Middle East in particular, there is a gender issue to consider. And when you operate a spa, you do not mix males and females at any point. So spas have completely separate locker rooms, treatment areas, in some case check-in areas, and therapists have to be the same gender as the guests. So if you have female guests, you need a female therapist and vice versa. So this makes operations even more complicated than your typical luxury spa because they've got two of everything, and that's what Caroline is referring to. She's got the common area, and then she's got the individual areas to deal with. Lillian, I visited your spa last November. It's amazingly beautiful and in a beautiful part of Doha. I mean, wonderful, the fitness, and it had newly opened at that point. When did it open exactly?
We opened last year in March 2019. So when we opened, we only opened the hotel building, where this year in January, we managed to also open the service apartment buildings. So Mandarin Oriental Doha is located in the Musharraf downtown Doha, which is very close to the Corniche, for those who have known Qatar before. But Musharraf downtown Doha is a brand new place, a brand new city center, which is, I would say that there are 300 buildings around us that are still ready to be opened. And they are all gearing up for the World Cup that will happen in 2022.
Well, it's a lovely area. I love that you could walk to the souk from there and the sites, and yet it's all new and modern and beautifully done. How has your spa business been since your second opening of the year?
So we reopened the spa because of the COVID in September this year. We do have the guidelines from the local authority where the spa is only allowed to be occupied at 30% occupancy. So in blessings, the spa has what Lisa has mentioned. It is separated from male to female. You come into the spa, most of the spas in town are the same. You come into the spa reception and you are being separated already based on your gender. Left for the men and then right for the ladies. And we have a separate consultation lounges where the guests will check in, have their welcome ritual before they go into the facilities. What we have seen different after COVID or after reopening is that the local guests do not seem to use the heat and water facilities that much. Even though they know that we have a very tight sanitation and disinfection process in place, we realize that 90% of our guests are not comfortable yet to be using the heat and water facilities. And the spa at Mandarin Oriental Doha, we have 80% which are ladies and only 20 of them are men, but we are at 99.9% Qataris visiting our spa. Only at 0.1% that we get the expats community.
Is that because of the travel restrictions we're facing currently? Right.
Yes. I think, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that before, I'm sure you had visitors from other countries. When I was there was plenty.
Yes. Last year, we had about, I would say about 15%, which are the international travelers that came and already know Mandarin Oriental, who stayed with us and come and visit us in the spa. But because the Qataris are not allowed to travel, I mean, not only the Qataris, all of us are not allowed to travel. And I guess most of you know, Qatari spending power is extremely generous compared to many nationalities. So they can't travel overseas. They can only spend their money locally. So we are really blessed since we are open, not only us, all the hotels in town has been extremely busy, especially the weekends. Some hotels in the weekend occupancy will go up to 80%.
Wow. And it's locals that are just getting out of their houses. I love it.
Correct. So the local will leave their villas and their palace to come and stay in the hotel, so they get pampered, even though they don't get to get on the plane, but they still miss that 5-star hospitality service where they get it from somewhere else. So I have to say, we are not in a bad situation for the luxury market, but unfortunately for the small day spas and the salons in town, a lot of them were not able to come back to business.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Let me jump back to Carolina on that note, because Carolina, you have a largely expat market in Dubai, and many of them are still there with restrictions as well. Who's coming to the Waldorf? Who's coming to the spa?
Well, since we opened, we had a similar situation as Doha, with very little tourists coming in. So mainly guests coming from the local market Dubai and the other nearby Emiratis. So, but all different nationalities. We have locals and of course expats living in Dubai as well. But as Lillian mentioned, lots of guests coming for the weekends, vacations. They just want to, you know, they miss traveling, especially because we're going through this pandemic during summer as well. But most expats actually leave Dubai. And so I think everyone, including all of us, has been missing traveling so much. So to check into a hotel over the weekend, it almost feels like, you know, you're getting away. So we had lots of those guests as well, but various nationalities.
Good to hear. Now, Kamal, I'd like you to explain to the audience a little bit about your facility, which is somewhat unique among Four Seasons.
Absolutely. So Four Seasons Riyadh is center of Riyadh, and it's in the iconic building of the Kingdom Tower, where it is around 5,000 square meter spa with huge fitness facility. I think it's one of the biggest in hotels. So it is male spa, fitness center, and it is like institution has been open for the last 17 years. It's very, very interesting to hear from the ladies about the local market, and people start to come back about traveling and experience the hotels. What we have seen is still the local travel is less to hotels. However, they are much more eager to come and look after themselves, and especially in terms of fitness, workout. We look into this area as increasing their immune system, stay strong, especially with this. And the best comments that we hear, and when people comes, and especially you have like big membership base, you see the members when they come back, especially the old ones that they have been, when they see the property and the way how the sanitization, the health and safety, security in terms of prevention from taking the proper measures from against 19, people really feel safe, and they are impressed. And at Four Seasons, like most of the hotels around the world, they collaborate with some medical institutions. So Four Seasons collaborate with Johns Hopkins, and we have a system called Lead with Care. So there is a very strong guidelines, and this is very well implemented in parallel with the local rules and regulations. And what we're tending to do is what's stronger. So let's say if the local authority says you can, let's say social distancing is 1.5 meters, and Four Seasons says 2 meters social distancing. So we go to the 2 meters distancing. So we always look at the more safe aspect of the story. So business, as Lillian mentioned, I think people, they want to look after themselves like never before. So before maybe they look into traveling, into something to experience, but now I think what I have been noticing, and especially in age group, I'll take 40 to 50, they are unbelievably conscious about their health, full stop. So especially with the COVID, but there is a very strong education or mindset. So I have to look after myself, because they used to spend money on traveling, on many different things. And this is a big turning curve in life with this pandemic. I think for everybody now feels how much it's really important. Sometimes we spend so much money on different things, but I don't mind pay for my membership, for my treatment, and I think this is the culture more. And as Lillian said about in her area, how people, they want to spend money, I think in every single country, it's common. So because they're not traveling, they want to spend the money. So, but now I hear from different people, they're ready to increase the pricing. Quite interesting. And I see and I heard a lot, and I can see this in our property, that the spa business is growing and has much more importance than ever in hotels, where I see people in general, F&B is struggling, food and beverage.
Right.
So they're struggling a lot because they have different experiences in the local market.
Well, I don't think any of us could have predicted when this pandemic started that it would be in the end good for our industry, but we're hearing this globally, that clients have become aware of the role that they have in their own personal health, and they understand how we help them in the spa to maintain that, and how getting massages and taking care of yourself is healthy and good for you. I think we're going to get their attention more than ever when we can roll out nutrition and other healthy aspects of a spa visit. Kent, your property exemplifies that as well as any, given that you're a full stop destination, and that you look to their sleep and the lighting and all the innovations that Six Senses is known for. What's your take on the situation?
Yeah, it has been really interesting, because even pre-COVID-19, we were still clearly recognizing different categories of who would come to our property. You would have people who wanted to be left alone, coming to drink, party, eat, everything, do whatever they like, and they didn't want to hear the word wellness. Then we would have people who were curious, and they came because they knew that we had a wellness angle that they wanted to find out more about. And then you had your hardcore. But, no matter who we were talking to, apart from the hardcore, we found that guests were still, comfortable in living with an underlying health condition, diabetes or high blood pressure, or whatever. It was kind of, well, you can tell me what I should be doing, but I'm still alive, I'm still doing okay, carry on. But what we are witnessing now, and we currently only have our partner spa in Dubai open, but we're expecting Six Senses Ziggy Bay to be open early December. And from the inquiries that are coming through, there's a lot more interest in the wellness programs. And we really believe from the inquiries and just from the global, example that we have in our other properties, that our guests are coming back, moving up a level. Those that will leave me alone are definitely going to be curious, and those that are curious are definitely going to become more hardcore, because from the inquiries that we're getting, our guests are now realizing that they that wellness is important. You know, even if you want to, you know, live your life and eat whatever you want and drink whatever you want, when things like a pandemic come around, which hopefully is not going to be too often, you want to make sure that you're prepared for it and that your body can fight back. But it's not only in the physical part of wellness. You know, if you look at mental well-being as well, we're finding in our properties globally, and we know this will be in Oman as well, that the guest really wants to reconnect. You know, that has been so important. And we have as our mission statement, you know, that we want to help the guests reconnect with themselves, others, and the world around them. And we've taken it even further now to offer reconnection days, so that they can discover how they want to reconnect with their heart or with their mind or with their body. And we plan a day around their interests and, you know, include nutrition and all of that as well. Because we're finding that a guest doesn't always know exactly what they're looking for.
True.
But they know they want to feel more engaged in the world around them. So if we can show them that it can be fun and then it can match their way of life, and they can just tweak it a bit on the left or tweak it a bit on the right, they can really end up living their life to a lot more full potential. And they can have that safety that they're looking for in building their immune system. So we kind of stay away from the words building your immune system because it sounds too medical, but we show them how much fun they can have in doing a reconnection, and that way introducing them to sleep, eat, and all the different programs that are available.
Great. That's great to hear. And I think you're right. We have a great opportunity here to leverage what we do. On that note, let me say, and I've entered in the chat, if anybody attending wants to ask a question to any of our panelists, just please go ahead and put it in the chat and we'll get to it. So as we expand right beyond facials and massages into wellness and immune boosting services, I'm interested if any of you are planning to add to your menus or add in new equipment or services that perhaps you didn't offer pre-COVID. Anybody?
Well, just what I mentioned now, you know, we have found as a company that there's a bigger demand on wellness activities. You know, if we look at the number of guests that were coming in proportion to the amount of guests in the resort who were coming for the free yoga or the meditation classes and those activities, there's a much higher demand for them. Because people are now wanting to, you know, our guests are wanting to identify, okay, let's find out exactly what this is going to do for me. So before we would have the hardcore only coming to them, now we're having people who want to discover exactly what this is all about. So we're providing a lot more activities. When the guest comes into the spa, they clearly don't want to be given a menu. They clearly to discover more about, okay, so what do you guys do and what do you have to offer? And this is quite surprising for us because we've always believed if anyone comes to Six Senses, you know, surely they know already that we are all about sustainability and wellness. But we're finding that people are coming in and maybe they're coming because they know that's who we are and they want to identify more, but they don't want to be given a menu. They want to know how we're going to really help them. So we've added a lot more consultations. Our journey that we provide the guest has developed a great deal more because by doing a consultation, we can find out exactly how we can help them and then we can plan their journey. So activities, reconnection days, and consultations is what we've added.
Great to hear. KAMAL, I know that you have a very large membership-driven base. So I would expect that they are probably not looking for new treatments or services, or are they? What's the take on, and your membership is male, correct? That's what you mentioned earlier. Are they coming to you and asking for new developments in wellness?
Actually, it's quite interesting because now the gym is the place because everybody is out, can go. There is no restrictions. And we see people wants to enjoy more the activity in the gym as a sports, more than just like the typical fitness routines where we do certain activation with the facility we have in terms of we have squash courts, we have outdoor pool area that we give classes. You combine the activities with the outdoor now. So definitely I see the clients are looking more into fun aspect, as I totally agree with Ken talking about people comes really they want this mental health as well. Is also we see a lot of guests talking and requesting the natural therapy in terms of chiropractor or physio, or they don't want to go for if they have a pain back, anything, they are more into the natural healing. This definitely it's growing, and I think moving forward, this something will develop the whole holistic wellness approach from you were talking about the nutrition to chiropractor to the fitness, the sports, the fun, all this aspect. Even with city center, we're lucky to have big facilities that we can accommodate that. There is project as well of development of the facility to accommodate all these services.
We have a question from the audience from Anada Nav. Thank you for your question about touchless treatments. And this has been a topic globally. I mean, are any of you considering introducing touchless treatments to your menu at this time? And let's go to Carolina first.
Yes, actually, we've been considering this, and we are actually introducing a touchless suite experience, which will basically include time in our private suites, which has the private steam, sauna, and bathtub. So the guest will basically be first having a consultation where they communicate their skin concerns and so on, and then product will be prepared by a therapist, but they will actually be invited to apply the products on themselves. So that will be a completely touchless treatment. And we see this will be working quite well because we have a large demand of our suite, and we sell that both with treatments and without treatments already. So we really want to incorporate the education of our products and how they more can look after themselves at home as well.
So you're saying that you rent out your suite now without a treatment, just you rent the suite, and now they have the addition of adding the products themselves.
Yes, exactly.
That's good. And when will that debut on your menu?
It will be on the menu starting 1st of December. So over Christmas, New Year, and starting of the new year as well. Okay.
And Lillian, do you have anything similar?
Yeah, in the spa at Mandarin Oriental, Doha, we are not looking to do any touchless treatments for this year or until first quarter of next year. But what I would like to share here is that what we see the difference is our guests are not coming for short treatments like before. They prefer to come for a treatment that is more than an hour. We all know in the spa, massages is the most popular treatment for every spa. That is go without fail. But what we have seen is that the guest is opting for a 1.5 treatment or even 2 hours treatment. And that is the difference that we have seen after the reopening.
Good to hear.
Local guests over here, so far we have not encountered any questions that if they would want to experience treatments that are touchless, because they all want that touch. They all want that feel, that warmth and that touch from the therapist's magic hands. So touchless, for me, I don't see it happen in Doha at the moment.
You know, it's an interesting discussion globally about that, because I think that what we are seeing is that when a spa reopens, the guests are running back and they're filling up the book and they want to be touched. The question remains, what guests are not returning because they don't want to be touched? And that's the number we don't know because we have capacity restrictions on most spas. So I think that the guests we saw come back first were anxious to be touched, and they're not interested in touchless treatments, but it might be something to consider for those guests who are still a little shy to come back. And as we've seen, having a different multiple revenue stream that doesn't require a therapist might not be the worst thing. So in terms of introducing new products and equipment, let's talk about the challenges in the Middle East in that regard. How difficult it is for you to bring in something new from a different vendor, or that's a piece of equipment or a brand. What are the complications of that? Who wants to go first? Kamal?
I'll go. I think at the moment with the changes of the logistics and rules and regulation in Saudi Arabia, everything is going into digital and systematic, and there is in the spa industry at the moment, I have no luxury of to choose a brand that I like this brand or somebody recommend this brand to work with it is to get it to the country. Yeah. So the only way to get this brand is to find a distributor, let him register it with the government. Mm-hmm. Needs to every item. I think this as well done in Dubai, but the difference is that there is so many distributors in Dubai, and you have mostly all the brands there. So at the moment, there is. I think it's big market. So if I want to address to anyone in as brands or in the distribution business, definitely to start looking into having more brands to the market because there is so much opportunity. Mm-hmm. And hopefully the system will be easing the process to be faster to have, because we speak between spa managers here, and one of the guys was telling me that he has a condition to order for 1 year order, and it will arrive after 8 months. I mean, if he's exaggerating, but still is massive. So you don't know what's going to happen with your products, if the brand's going to work. So mm-hmm. It is at the moment, it's a bit challenging.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, and especially this is from product point of view. If you want to choose the products line, if it was massage oil or if it's facial products or any spa products, same goes to the equipment. So you have some very minimal distributors in the market as well for certain brands, but also the support is not great.
It sounds like there's a big opportunity in KSA for people to navigate. As difficult as it may be, it'll probably be worthwhile. Lillian, what's the case in Qatar? How difficult is it to bring in new equipment or brands?
It is not difficult to bring in a new equipment to Qatar, as long as you have a local distributor that is willing to register the equipment for us. So, for example, if I were to ask for an oxygen machine that comes from Europe, there are a certain amount of distributors or suppliers locally that are willing to even just register the machine, as long as the machine is not a medical grade. Only the medical grade machines will have to be registered by a licensed doctor.
Right. Okay.
So if you see all the spas, the luxury spas in Qatar or in Doha itself, every spas have their own beauty machine. You name it, from hydrofacial to bioskin to biological research, they have it all. Right. Because it's not a difficult process.
Okay, good. Yeah, Qatar is they're very open that way. And Carolina, I expect that may be similar to Dubai. It's not that difficult to penetrate the market there.
No, it's not. I mean, it's similar to Doha, where they overseas distributor work with local distributors in order to register the products and to get the products in the country. And I don't think a lot has changed. I mean, some distribution has had perhaps some challenges during this time. So some of the brands has changed distributors and so on, but it's still very easy to implement and new products and equipment as well. So it's very well supported, I would say.
Great. Let me ask a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ken.
Sorry, I just wanted to add in, you know, if we link up your last two questions, one regarding high touch and one regarding the equipment, what we found is, you know, we firmly believe that the spa industry is about high touch. So we're not really looking at how we do the treatments or whatever, but we are focusing a lot more on bringing in biohacking equipment, therapy, sound therapy, more than we were doing before, because that would provide the guests with opportunities where it is, you know, zero therapist required, or there's no touch between the therapist and the individual. And in our Dubai property, as well as our Oman location, biohacking has been very popular, and we've been able to get all the equipment we require through distributors, you know, that are in the Middle East. So that's really been good as well.
That's excellent to hear. My next question has to do with, maybe this is a myth that we hear about the Middle Eastern client, but what I'm referring to is that they want very quick results. Because they have the funds for it, they want to see a result immediately without them having to do much to make that happen. So, I mean, is that true? And how do you manage around that, especially in fitness areas? Lillian, you want to start with that?
Yes, it is definitely not a myth. It is a fact. I'm just representing the Qatar market, knowing being here for a few years now. Especially the ladies, they want instant result. Working in the spas for the last 25 years, I think we all want instant result. But the Qataris, they want it by the second. So we have recently also made just a very local survey to ask the local ladies at what age do they start with plastic surgery or alternative surgery on them. They are as young as 20 years old that they have started that with selective and elective surgery.
And Carolina, do you see, oh, I'm sorry, Lillian, you're not finished. Go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Okay, Carolina, do you see something similar in Dubai?
Well, yeah, I mean, the esthetician market is huge in Dubai. So obviously there is a lot of clinics in Dubai and beauty centers and so on that operates quite different from what spas and resort spa does. But I think from a spa point of view, what, for instance, we at the Waldorf will introduce from this year is that we will introduce more resort-oriented facials and so on, because we think that will work really well. But when it comes to the therapies that Lillian just mentioned, it's also very, very large, especially from the local Emiratis here in Dubai. But I think even from the expat that lives here, it's a huge market, but obviously away from resort spas. It's conducted in other areas.
Got it. KAMAL, you have a male clientele. Are they similar? Do they want to look better tomorrow?
Who doesn't?
For sure.
I mean, they are, I think, you know, in everywhere in the world, a guest, when he pays for certain value, certain money, he wants the value behind it. And I think this local, the Riyadh, I would say, between expat and locals, they know they spend a lot of money on certain service, but they are very much quality focused. So they want the quality for the value they are paying.
Okay, well, that's reasonable. Any client would ask for that, right?
The good thing about it, just write your number. put your number, but give me the service I want, give me the quality I want.
So price is not an issue. It's quality.
It's not an issue, but we have to deliver.
We should all be so lucky to be in that market.
Yeah,
Ken,
I'd just like to add that we found, particularly in Kuwait, and Kuwait, you know, has the highest obesity rate in the world for women. It also has the highest diabetes type 2 rate in the world for women. And what we found is when we would have coming in for a wellness screening, because we always encourage wellness screenings, we would give them the findings and we would talk to them, and they would say, okay, what are you going to do about my problem? You know, they would put the problem onto our shoulders. And this was a particularly unique way that we found that the community were thinking. They kept on expecting us to say, right, so we'll help you by doing the work for you, instead of realizing that they actually need to change their lifestyle and excited by how it's going to be done. Not so much in Dubai or in Oman, but Kuwait was particularly interesting in that regard. But, you know, they didn't want us to make it their problem. It's our problem.
It's funny. That's what I'm paying you for. Make me look better.
That's why I came to you, because I believe you can sort it out. Well, just do it.
We're magicians. Kent, I wanted to come back to you about your brand ethos around sustainability is not necessarily a movement that is widely embraced yet in this part of the world. How's that? How are you managing around that?
Sure. Well, to be honest, in the Middle East, it is our hardest region to implement what we want to do. And now, you know, that we're going to be in Saudi Arabia with 7 locations, we've actually put it into our management agreements. You know, we've like, it's a deal breaker. It's got to be done. We've learnt in the Middle East. Examples like, you know, even if we look at the product that we use, we've been talking about how a guest will want to get an instant reaction. But even in skincare, you know, to get an instant reaction from a particular product might require some chemicals that we wouldn't mean to be in the product.
Right.
Not always, but most of the time. And a guest would walk in and say, why haven't you got ABC, or why haven't you got EF? And we would say, well, because we find, you know, we prefer to use the more natural, more sustainable product. And they would just have no interest at all. Likewise, regarding doing manicures and pedicures, you know, it was more important to be more colorful and last longer compared to being good for your nail. And from that angle, it's been quite difficult. So we have in a couple of areas done a happy medium where we thought, okay, we will go to a certain level and then help to educate the guests as to what is better for them long term. But regarding owners and hotel partners that we have, you know, we would find as well that in our sustainable guidelines, we separate the rubbish and we weigh it, and we want it to be recycled and all the rest of it. And we would do that in the spa and would be horrified that when the hotel came to collect it, they would chuck it all in together and
all that work
and not worry. But then we decided, no, we're going to be campaigners for it. You know, we're not going to stop doing it our way. And if the hotel chooses to put it all together, then that's their problem. But we'll keep on working with them. And more of our partners have come over. In quite a strange way, but they've started to see that, yeah, this is something to worry about. Another area is looking at plastic. You know, the day of giving a guest a plastic water bottle and a plastic straw around the pool, you know, to us it's like you might as well be smoking cocaine or sniffing cocaine at the pool. It's just, you don't do it.
Can't do it.
You rather create a separate area where it's safe, you know, safety standards are first always, but you have your glass bottles, the right kind of glasses that are protected if they should fall in the pool area. And we've been laughed at for many years in the Middle East, more so than anywhere else. But now they're coming around and they're realizing that this is really good for the environment and environment. So it's been an interesting ride, and one that we continue to bash our heads against a brick wall in many areas, but we are having greater success.
Great. Well, good for you for keeping up that fight in the face of resistance and not support, but that's excellent for the brand and for the region. We have a question for Virginie Fliegans about yield management. I'm not sure, Virginie, exactly what you mean. If you mean a pricing strategy, yield management being a practice that's generally done when we're really busy. And I don't know that any of our spas are busy enough. She says pricing. So is anyone have a system, especially maybe in Dubai and Doha, where you have different pricing on high volume days like weekend versus the weekday? Any experimentation with that? Lillian says no.
Not in Qatar, not even in other spas. There is no prices difference between weekdays and weekends.
Okay.
And I don't think that it will happen anytime soon.
No? How about you, Carolina?
Yeah, we do have yield management on pricing. We have certain pricing during the midweeks, and then during the weekend, our pricing will increase. We will basically close all promotional offers. So the average spend is a lot higher during the weekend.
And that's working fine for you? Your guests are used to that?
Yes, absolutely. Good. Because we have a different clientele during weekdays and weekends as well. And even if we have guests that stays longer, they intend to, you know, maybe explore other treatments during the weekend, or they just book their treatments during the midweek if they prefer a lower pricing.
So I'm guessing the midweek is your local or business client, and the weekend is your hotel guest and leisure client?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So while you and I are talking, can you tell us, Carolina, how it has been to manage in this time? What have the challenges been with your staff? It's been a very difficult year, by all means.
Yeah, no, I think it has been a very difficult year, but I think it also been a year of opportunities and learning, and because none of us has ever gone through a pandemic before, and
or hope to again.
Yeah, exactly. And none of us has, you know, experienced perhaps a closure of a facilities for several months, and more so perhaps not working for several months. So it's definitely been an interesting experience for all of us. I think as a team, we took we took care of the time when the hotel and the spa was closed. We took the opportunity to you know, do a lot of new learning, online courses. I mean, various different topics when it came to my therapist, for instance. They were doing a lot of anatomy training online, and I'm really appreciative to our product partners that was kind enough to host this online seminars, which was brilliant during this time, and they had so much participation. So I think us as spa leaders, we really appreciated that. And even us as leaders, there were courses for us as well, lots of seminars. As Dubai was, I mean, I think we had a 3-week lockdown or something. So during that time, I certainly personally took a lot of opportunity to join a lot of seminars, lots of new learning, refresh skills, and so on. And so it was a good time just to kind of stop and reflect and reconnect. And then if we're talking about since we opened, I think it was also it's a good time for change. It's a good time to try new things, introduce new treatments, new products. We've done lots of training, obviously, because it was quite a few changes when we opened the spa. So lots of focus on training and education and communication with our guests, and also I think between each other as a team as well, because we all gone through a very, very challenging period.
Right, and you reopen with new protocols and new habits. KAMAL, was it that way for you? Was there a lot of challenge in leading the team?
Absolutely. Challenges, I mean, we're all in the same boat, and it was a huge learning curve and strong communication with everybody, because the responsibility of each colleague is the same as the general manager in any property. So it was really I got the chance to work on more responsibility with the general manager in different property, where I was really championing the project of COVID-19 implementation in the colleague accommodation and all this area. So I was the person between the management and the colleagues. So I had very, very interesting approach to bring the team together. Learning process, as Rolina was talking about, it is big responsibility because every single person should be very responsible, because if they take things not serious, there is them, their families, the guests, the business itself might close down. Imagine your hotel is got the infection or something. So yeah, was quite interesting experience, and I think for everybody now I think they got, whoever went through the process and the knowledge and the reading, I think they enhance a lot of responsibility. And as I mentioned, because of so much was going on in terms of education and against this pandemic, people become more and more health conscious. I'm a person that I love shaking hands, and I'm a person that I love hugging people.
Right.
But like you restrict yourself now when you meet people, you stay away, and because there is you're protecting them, you're protecting people, and you're protecting yourself as well. So it is interesting time of
for sure. That interesting is a good word to use. Lillian, how's your team been? Has everybody been positive through this experience?
Yes. Even though the spa was closed from March till September, we were very lucky that the hotel was took over by the government, and we turned our hotel to become a quarantine hotel for the sheikhs and the sheikhas of Al Thanis to come back to the country. So the government flew every one of the Qataris home during these times. So most of the 5-star hotels in the country were used and taken over by the government as a quarantine hotel. So during the quarantine hotel time, we stopped using all the casual laborers. So my whole team were all over the hotel doing cross-exposure.
Wow.
Some of the therapists were room attendants, some of them were security guards, some of them work in the in-room dining. They had lots of fun. That they learned something that they have never had a chance before in their life to do that.
It's good for them to see other departments. And let me just say a lesson to all of us. If we're going to be quarantined, let's be quarantined in Qatar, because in other countries, you're not in a 5-star hotel.
Yes.
For sure. I want to thank everyone who participated, all my panelists. Your insights were great. And it's really so nice to hear the differences in different parts of the world. We look forward to participating in the EMEA environment more. I'm going to show a slide about our next event, which again is on the 4th of February. And Stephen's information is here if you'd like to reach out to him and be considered, whether you are a vendor or a spa to participate. Please let us know. Also, our events in North America are listed. So thank you again for that. Thank you so much to my panelists for your time and energy. It's been really informative, and I hope everybody enjoyed this chat. I sure did. Thank you.
Lisa, just if you have 1 second, just I want to answer Virginie, a very good friend of mine, on the yield management.
Okay.
I think it's like, for me, something I would really implement is depends on your market, and what's going on. When you analyze your business, there is best practices most of the time, but you learn from others. But sometimes you analyze your own business and you see something. Most of the spas, they do 4 hours, 24 hours cancellation policies. Like for the weekend in our property, something I would implement the soonest. On weekends, most of the treatment should be paid 24 hours ahead.
Interesting. That's taking yield management to a new level. Pay ahead. Yeah, why not? Hey, if you have the demand, why not?
because the number of cancellation compare the number of demand last minute, and then sometimes you don't make the money.
Right. Well, good tip. Thank you for that closing thought, Kamal. We'll all consider that. So thank you again to my panelists. Great to hear from you all, and look forward to seeing you again soon. We will be having the similar format webinar for Africa in early December, so stay tuned for the dates on that. Thank you all again, and have a wonderful day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.